welcome to your practice today. I'm Hannah from Tula Being Online Yoga Studio. Today's practice is going to be a short and sweet yin practice, very much physically focused on opening up through the heart in a representative way of feeling grateful for what we have. When we think about gratitude, sometimes it can be quite tricky to feel grateful in a difficult situation, and it's really useful for us to remember that it's a practice. And just like with anything, like meditation, like learning to do yoga, play a musical instrument, whatever it is that you're trying to master, it's the same with a gratitude practice. Some days it feels easier than others, but the more that we practice it, the more that it feels authentic to ourselves, really. So I might filter a few little kind of affirmations with regards to gratitude through our practice today and just see how they land with you. It might be that your internal dialogue is saying, no, I don't agree. And that's okay. Just sort of see that, feel it, and you can always change some of the language and the words to suit yourself. So we're going to start in a classic heart opening pose in a reclined butterfly. If you don't have a bolster, grab yourself a blanket or two, towels maybe, roll them up into a nice big bolster-like shape, and perhaps you'll use a pillow under your head and then that bolster that you've created, because often they're a bit shorter than what my yoga bolster is. So I am going to prop my bolster up a little bit at one end. Actually, I quite like using a pillow as well, so I might bring that into practice. I'm going to lean myself back here. For now, I'm just going to use one block for my own practice. You might choose to be a little bit higher there. And then I quite like having something under my head, but I'll see how that goes. It might be that that's a bit too much today. When I'm setting myself up, it's hips on the ground, not on top of the blanket or the bolster, and then just slowly edging my way back here. So you don't want to have a really big pillow under your head. You don't really want to have your chin wedged in towards the chest. You want to have a bit of space there. And then we're seeing if we can allow those arms to relax beside us. You might choose then to bring the butterfly shape in, soles of feet together and the knees wide. You could also wedge something underneath those knees. Once you find your way here, you might like to empty out a couple of deep breaths out through the mouth. And you might intentionally allow that exhale to be longer than your inhale. And here we can already begin with one of our first affirmations today. I am grateful for this breath. I am grateful for this breath. Hopefully after a few moments you've found yourself into a space of stillness. It doesn't mean that you have to stay here perfectly still throughout the next couple of minutes. But just being mindful of the fidgeting that might be occurring today for you. Maybe you'd like to explore changing the shape of the arms. I'm going to choose to raise my arms higher. For me, I'm going to actually balance them just above my head. You might go ahead and do that and then decide that's not for you today. And you might just wiggle around a little bit and then settle, finding another edge in the pose here. If you find that the position or the shape of the legs is not working for you anymore, just feel free to change it up. Just noticing whether your thoughts have gone on a rampage somewhere else. And gently bring thoughts back to the physical presence of your body and breath. One more time. As you inhale, I am. As you exhale, grateful for this breath. 3 more breaths in your own time now. And then when you're ready to remove yourself from your props, you might want to start with the legs first. I'm just going to bring my feet to the ground, knees to the sky, and then perhaps you just roll off to one side. You might want to straight away remove your props, which is fine. It doesn't have to be perfect just yet. Just try to find somewhere that you can release and rest for a few moments. You might notice the release of the props behind you now. If you're on your side, just feeling into the weight distribution that has shifted in your body. Feeling rested and at ease with the natural ebbs and flows of breath. From here, we're going to flip onto our belly and take Sphinx pose. I'm going to grab my bolster. You might choose to have a rolled up towel instead of that bolster. You could also do this with no props at all. When I use the bolster, I wedge it into the belly area. It gives it a little compression feeling, so you might like that, you may not. It takes away some of the pressure though from the arms having to hold yourself here. Perhaps you'll let your head drop. You might even support it with your hands somehow, or keep your head lifted. So today, working through the heart, the lung meridian lines, our energy channels in the body, representing compassion, love, connection to oneself. And of course, the lungs being connected to our breath and our vital energy within us. Perhaps now we add a little mantra. I am grateful for this body. You might add a little side note to that intention there. I am grateful for this body, even with its aches and pains, as a humbling reminder of how I'm feeling today. We all suffer with aches, pains, through moving too much, not enough, through age, injuries, through stress, the list goes on. Using the signals of the body as a message that we actually listen to. Perhaps we need a little more love, care, nurture to these vessels, our bodies. So once again, I am grateful for this body. Maybe just adding as it is today. I am grateful for this body as it is today. If you feel like you could add on just a little more, just for the last minute, I invite you to lift the heart, turn it into seal pose. If you notice that this is too much pressure in any way on the lower back, please drop further down towards the ground. When I head towards seal, it feels a little more natural to lift my gaze, but you do what feels okay for you and your neck. Another little reminder, I am grateful for this body as it is today. Depending on where we're at in life, just our journey with our body that can be incredibly complicated, may I say. This is a really important one. I am grateful for this body as it is today. Last couple of breaths here. Count 3 more. And when you decide to come out of this pose, remove all props, land onto your belly. You might prop your forehead, maybe you'll rest your hands underneath your face. Just bring the arms wherever they feel good for you, head wherever it feels good for you. If you prefer child's pose, that can also be another great option. For our final pose before we hit Savasana, we're actually going to do a forward fold. So forward folding is adding flexion through the spine instead of extension. And it's like we're giving ourselves a little bit of a hug through the heart. So I'm going to slowly make my way upright. And we're heading to caterpillar pose. I love to use a bolster with it. You don't have to. You could use no props at all. But I'm going to rest the bolster behind the back of the knees. The legs are pretty close together, but they don't have to be perfectly together. And then it's gently forward folding. So you could have the legs even quite parted. You don't have to have anything underneath the back of the knees. You might choose to have nothing at all, or perhaps you've got something on top instead. Just do what feels good for your spine, for your legs. And with regards to the spine, keep it curved. Allow yourself to curl in on yourself and just let yourself drape forwards. Don't feel that you have to be really deeply forward folding. You might be quite upright with the head just gently tilting, the thoracic gently flexing. It can be one of those poses where we can draw inwards. To offer you just a few words here. A poet named Melody Beattie. She says, gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. Let's see if we can use gratitude as a powerful tool to bring a little more joy in our own lives. And really, the best tips that I've heard are keeping things simple. So this time, leaving it up to you to just take a moment to ponder, what are you grateful for today? Doesn't have to be yesterday or tomorrow. What are you grateful for in this moment today? And then gently repeat that in your mind 3 times. Coming back towards your body, the present moment, count 3 more breaths. And then from here, we'll be slowly lowering down onto our back. We are heading into Savasana. So setting yourself up as comfy as you can. Into our final pose of deep, nourishing rest. If it feels right for you to find connection with your hands somewhere on your body, feel free to do that. Again, maybe exhaling slightly longer than the inhale or out through the mouth for a couple of rounds just to find your settle. Just starting to bring yourself around, wiggling, breathing, stretching. Slowly making your way to the side, lifting yourself back up. Physically becoming more present, maybe balancing palms on the thighs. Maybe then bring palms together, thumbs to heart. I am grateful for this moment. Thank you for sharing your practice with myself and one another. I bow to you.